All right, you guys. So with Final Fantasy 16 finally releasing, that kind of marks the big game, one of the last big games to release for the first half of 2023. I want to kind of just sit back, look at 23 as a whole from what we got and what we're planning on getting, with the end of summer Game Fest kind of like marking a better, clearer picture of what to expect with the rest of 2023. I think it's pretty safe to say that 2023 is by far one of the greatest years in video gaming history. If you can't find something to play in 2023, you're not a fan of games. I'm sorry, because we got things from action games to turn-based RPGs to strategy RPGs, platformers, 2D and 3D alike, indie games, big AAA blockbuster games. We got it all. So again, I feel like there's stuff out there for everyone to be playing, and a lot of these games are like mammoth sized games that take hundreds of hours to complete. Some of them are really quicker experiences that take maybe 5 hours. So again, there's types of games out there for everyone in the year 2023, and I am just excited for the rest of it. I'm excited for what we've experienced so far, and I feel like this is going to be one of the most competitive game of the years like in a long time. Alright, so for this video, I'm using Game Informer's list. Game Informer's a really good list as far as like newer titles that get updated pretty frequently. So I kind of just want to use their list to go through and highlight some of the biggest games that we had, some of my favorite games, etc., and what I kind of expect to see in the future. If you guys like this type of video, do me a favor and like this video. Please consider subscribing if you guys can. It helps me a lot. With that being said, let's get into this one. Starting back in like January, it was a little slow. I think a lot of people were kind of a little bored in January. I saw kind of the sentiment being like, oh my god, a lot of Nintendo players were trying to play Fire Emblem Engage because there was no other Nintendo Switch game at the time. So I really liked Fire Emblem Engage. I had a lot of fun with it. Besides that, you had things like Hi-Fi Rush that was shadow dropped. Fantastic game. Forspoken was Forspoken. But then you got things like Dead Space Remake. You got GoldenEye 007 coming to Xbox Series consoles and Nintendo Switch Online. We had games. We had little indie games like Trek to Yomi. Overall, I think January isn't ever really like the most hype month out of the year. So as far as January goes, having things like Hi-Fi Rush, Dead Space Remake, Fire Emblem Engage, that's a pretty solid start to the year. February we got things like Hogwarts Legacy, Metroid Prime Remastered, Shadow dropped. Like, I think that was a pretty freaking hype. That was like one of the things that no one was expecting. I think people weren't expecting Hogwarts Legacy to be as good as it was, and I don't think people were expecting Metroid Prime Remastered to show up, let alone Shadow drop on the day. That was pretty insane, and that's always going to go down as like one of those Nintendo Direct moments. We had other games like things like Atomic Heart, things like Wild Hearts, things like a Dragon Ishin, that were all very solid games within their own right and were tons of fun. I played Like a Dragon Ishin and just had a blast playing that game. Going to March, the big game in March was definitely Resident Evil 4 Remake. This game lived up to all hype. I think anytime Resident Evil 4 is playable, it's just a good time to play. And this remake definitely recaptured what we kind of want Resident Evil 4 to be in a modern era. Aside from Resident Evil 4, we got things like WWE 2K23, Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon, Legend of Heroes Trails to Azure. Just again, tons of really cool, interesting, different style games. I think WWE 2K23, if you're a fan of like sports games or even just wrestling games, it definitely lives up to that reputation. Bayonetta Origins was a cool little niche title that I think Nintendo Switch fans, had more people played it, I think they probably would have been very excited by it. But it's one of those things that you kind of gotta like roll the dice and hope it's good. I really enjoyed the game though. We also had things like Wulong Fallen Dynasty that was just a really cool combat focused Souls games by Team Ninja. Again, that's another game that I really had a lot of fun playing. I know some people were a little mixed on it, especially like PC players definitely didn't like it because the performance wasn't really good. But overall, I mean, March was another solid year. That's 3 months, solid titles. April brought us Star Wars Jedi Survivor as the big game, and I feel like that was controversial with its performance. I think if you take away the performance part of it, everyone can agree that Star Wars Jedi Survivor was a fantastic game. But definitely the performance held it back from reaching the highs that it should have hit. That's definitely one of those games that should have been closer to the 90s and maybe mid 90s or something, had the performance, you know, lived up to what we kind of wanted it to be. Especially if you're a PC player, I know that was just horrendous for you guys, and I feel for you. I don't know currently the state of what it is in PC. On PlayStation 5, I was replaying a little bit of it, and it's fine for me in general. There's still glitches, but overall it's a really good game. In the month of April, you also got Dead Island 2. Dead Island 2 is one of those games that we thought we would never see. So again, 2023 is going to be the year that we got things like Metroid Prime Remastered and Dead Island 2 in the same year. I think those are like two things that we would have never really thought was happening, like, ever. It's one of those things that are always like talked about but doesn't really happen, and then it finally freaking happened. Alongside, you got like Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered finally coming to consoles. Overall, again, no arguments with this month. May, I mean, do we got to talk about May? You got Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. All other games, if Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was the only big game that released from January to May, I don't think people would have been mad. I think people would have been very excited for this game. People are still playing this game now. I'm still playing this game now. This game is one of those very massive, huge games that if you're just a fan of gaming, you gotta respect that Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a fantastic game. It's phenomenal. It lived up to the reputation that we kind of wanted it to live up to with what Breath of the Wild kind of set the standard as. So, I mean, again, the year that Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom dropped on Nintendo Switch is 2023. Bringing us to our current month of June. June kicked things off real with like Street Fighter 6, one of the greatest Street Fighter games of all time, one of the greatest fighting games of all time. Street Fighter 6 is gonna go down as one of those games that kind of revolutionizes fighting games and potentially revolutionize gaming in general. I think people kind of underestimate how much of an impact fighting games have on other games like action adventure games and just action combat in general in other games. A lot of them take their beats and their rhythm style gameplay from things like fighting games. So Street Fighter 6 definitely set a new benchmark for just combat in general in gaming. We got things like Diablo 4, which I'm not a Diablo fan, but from what I hear from Diablo fans, they love Diablo 4. It's one of those, again, never-ending games. It's one of those things that I see a lot of people say that they're going to be playing this game for a long time till essentially Diablo 5 comes out. So, again, very excited for those people. We got freaking Final Fantasy 16, which is a fantastic game. I know a lot of people are kind of down on the 88. In general, like, we got to just understand that not all games are going to hit the same for everybody, and this being a very one-person focused game, like if you don't like Clive, if you don't think Clive is a good enough character to carry this game, you're not going to like the game. You're not going to have a fun time playing. But if you love the character, if you love the performance, the world, the combat, yeah, this game is fantastic. It definitely lives up to the hype for me. I'm having a blast playing this game, and this is one of the games that, again, if it was just the year that Final Fantasy 16 dropped, I would have been a happy duck. But the fact that Final Fantasy 16, Tears of the Kingdom, Resident Evil 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, I mean, from January to June, that first half was packed. We could have a dud of the rest of the year. Nothing else coming out this year, and I would be happy with what I played, and I would still have things to play because I'm still playing things like Tears of the Kingdom. There's still other games I could go back to that I kind of missed. Smaller games like Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm that I was really excited for, but just because I was so busy playing other games, I didn't really have time to pick up some of these other games. July brings us to kind of a weird month in the year. I think there's definitely games for people out there. I think it's a more of a niche style month, which is perfectly fine because, again, you're probably still playing things from January to June. So things that we have that are kind of notable, you have Guilt, which is kind of one of the only good exclusive games to Stadia, finally coming to consoles, finally coming to other places to play it. You have Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie, which from what I hear, Legend of Heroes is a fantastic franchise. I only played Cold Steel 3 and I liked what I played, but it's definitely a really long RPG that I don't think I always have time to really play through it all. You have Exo Primal, which I played the beta. I played the beta. I really liked Exoprima's beta. I'm concerned about the price tag, and I'm concerned about the player base. It is coming day and date to Game Pass, so you Game Pass players better freaking support this game, I swear. Viewfinder, which is a really interesting puzzle game. I played the demo on PlayStation 5, and it's really cool. It's really interesting. I don't know if it's my jam, but it's definitely one of those cool, like, really interesting, innovative ways to kind of solve puzzles in a game. You have Pikmin 4, which I think some people want to hype that up as like one of the big like tentpole titles in Nintendo. It's not that. It's a very niche title, but for the people who love it, Pikmin 4 looks to re-innovate on things that I think a lot of people really like their Pikmin series for, so I'm happy for you guys. Double Dragon Gaiden Rise of the Dragons. I really love beat 'em ups. I like Double Dragon back in the day, but I'm like a lot of people, I'm a little torn on the art style that they chose for this one. But if I have time, I might pick it up. Disney's Illusion Island is a platformer. Disney Illusion Island is a Metroidvania platformer with Disney characters. It looks really fun. It looks really interesting. I feel like this is gonna be one of those games that it's gonna go on sale really soon, so I probably won't pick it up day one, and I'll probably wait for it later on. All right, bringing us to the month of August, which again, this is a crazy month. We got the biggest title of August is definitely Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. The people who bought you all the Souls games, Elden Ring, they're bringing you a mech style fighting game. This is actually their like initial tentpole franchise before the Souls games ever came out. They made Armored Core, and it looks fantastic. It looks phenomenal. I'm a big fan of mechs and like the way mechs fight and kind of decking out your own specific mech. Those are things that I really like, customizing it and combat, and this looks to kind of give me all that. I've never played an Armored Core game before, but Armored Core fans are very hyped for this one, and the previews came out pretty well and glowing for the people, again, who like this style of game. It might not be the style for everybody, but it is a really cool, interesting style game, I think. Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars is one of those RPGs, indie RPGs that I'm really, really excited for. I played the demo a couple months back, I think back in February, and it is good. It is really, really good. For people who are like really like classic fans of turnstile RPGs, this is that and more. This is very much like Chrono Trigger / Super Mario RPG inspired, with the way they kind of interact with the turn base of it all. It is really cool. It's really interesting. The world seems really full and vibrant, and I'm excited to play Sea of Stars. I've been excited for this since I first saw the announcement trailer a year ago, I think. But yeah, I think Armored Core 6, Sea of Stars are probably my most hyped games for August. But then you got things like Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, which brings like the life of Jet Set Radio like back. You know, Vampire Survivor, which is coming to Switch, and I wasn't interested at first, but now I'm kind of interested with the fact that it's like multiplayer, and I kind of want to see how that works. Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that I know nothing about, but from what I've talked to people who are really hyped about Baldur's Gate, this is one of those games that is going to be groundbreaking for them. September. Xbox fans rejoice because Starfield looks to be fantastic. We talked about Tears of the Kingdom being a huge game. Starfield looks that times 1,000. 1,000 planets this game has. It's very interactive. It's very compelling, and it looks really, really cool. And the more I kind of see people hyping it up, the more I'm kind of falling for that hype. This is a game that I had no emotions for up until like this last couple weeks, where I'm starting to see the interviews, I'm starting to see the detailed overviews, and it looks really cool. It's not a go out and buy an Xbox for me type of game, but it's definitely like one day when I ever do get an Xbox, one of those titles I have to check out just to see if it really lives up to the hype that it kind of set. You have Lies of P, which, I mean, I played the demo, freaking love Lies of P, from the aesthetic to the gameplay. It definitely needs a little bit of work, and it's definitely a little janky as far as Souls game goes, but as far as those like double A indie style Souls like wannabe style games, it's probably the cream of the crop. It is really cool from the characters to the worlds, and I'm really excited to see where things go on that one. Mortal Kombat 1. It's been a long time since I was able to say Street Fighters and Mortal Kombat are kind of competing neck and neck, and this is the closest they've ever really been as far as like quality, presentation, content. I think it's gonna be really interesting to see where things land at the end of the year with who wins the best fighting game. I think Mortal Kombat 1 has that kind of built-in hype where people really love Mortal Kombat games, but I think when it comes to like traditional fighting games, Street Fighter 6 is really hard to touch. So I'm really excited for that one. Things like Payday 3, Eternites, look like interesting games, and I think they're gonna have an audience. I just don't think they're for everybody. But overall, September is a pretty packed month. October is arguably one of the most stressful times. I'm looking at the list and I'm like, God damn, I don't know how I'm gonna play all these games, and I definitely want to dip my toes in more than one of these games. Starting things off with Disgaea 7, Vows of the Virtuous. I love Disgaea. I love strategy games. I didn't pick up Disgaea 6, but Disgaea 4 and 5, fantastic strategy RPGs with tons of humor. Xbox, again, Forza Motorsports. You guys are getting 2 big games a month to month. That is like a new peak for Xbox. Forza Motorsports looks like a fantastic Forza game, and I mean Forza kind of is the king of the racing genre right now. Assassin's Creed Mirage. Assassin's Creed Mirage looks to bring everything back that I love in Assassin's Creed, and I haven't really been hyped about an Assassin's Creed game in a really long time, so I'm definitely excited to check this one out. Lords of the Fallen, if you're a Souls like fan, I'm not really into this one. It doesn't really draw me in like others, or like Liza P or something like that. I already played Wulong, and I plan on playing Liza P. That's 2 Souls games in 1 year. That's enough for me. Alan Wake 2 looks freaking good. I don't know if I have time to play Alan Wake 2 just because of all the other games, but any other year I definitely would have picked this up day and date. But it definitely looks really exciting, and if I don't get the time to check it out immediately, I'll have to go back to it eventually. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, I like Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels Unleashed 1 was fine, so I'm pretty hyped about that one. October 20th brings us Marvel Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Bros. Wonder in the same day. Fuck you guys. PlayStation, Nintendo, when do you guys need to budge on this one? Give me like a day in between or something, because those are probably one of my 2 most hyped games of the year, especially of the last half of the year for sure. And I'm just gonna have to figure out a way to balance out both of them, but they both look fantastic. There's also some rumor that Sonic Superstars is dropping on October 17th. I'm not exactly sure if that's true yet, but if that's true, if I'm gonna have to play Sonic Superstars, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and Spider-Man 2, like essentially in the same time, I don't know. I'm gonna have to just live inside for a while. November, god damn it, November. Star Ocean, the second story R. I mean, it looks chef's kiss beautiful. Again, one of those things that if you're a really big fan of like RPGs, this looks like a really fantastic remake of a game that if you love the original Star Ocean, you're gonna like this one. It just looks so polished, so clean. If you're just a fan of RPGs but never played Star Ocean, this looks like the game that's gonna get you into it. WarioWare Move It. I know a lot of people are really hyped about this one. I really like WarioWare games. I'm just not really in the mood for like waggle stick controls right now. Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased Time. I love Like a Dragon Ishin, and that was my first time really playing a Like a Dragon game, so I'm really interested in getting into this franchise. My only fear is that it's really like there's so many titles in this franchise. I don't know if if I need to go back and play some other ones. So let me know down below, guys, if I have to play other games before I get into this one, or if I could just kind of hop into it. Persona 5 Tactica. This is one of the games that I like. Persona, I like strategy games. For whatever reason, this isn't doing it for me. I feel like they're not really selling it off the strategy of it all. They're kind of just selling it on the Persona 5 of it all. And I've seen Persona 5 since like PS3, so it doesn't really hype me or excite me the way it did back then. The art style and characters, they're cool and we like them. I just don't know if I'm in for another one of that kind of art style, another one of that kind of game. Not right now, at least. Maybe later on, I'll definitely have to check it out, though. Super Mario RPG is probably the most hyped game of this month. Next to Star Ocean. No, next to Star Ocean and Like a Dragon. For me, those 3 games are going to freaking do it for me. I just one of the things that with October 20th being Spider-Man 2 and being Super Mario Bros. Wonder, I'm gonna have to be gaming like crazy if I want to make room for these 3 more games I want to add to my list. I don't know, something might have to budge. December brings us games like Dragon Quest Monsters and Avatar's Frontiers of Pandora, which both look like very respectable titles. I don't know if I'm really a big fan of Avatar. I am not really a big fan of open world games in general, and the Avatar IP doesn't do anything for me. But the game does look really cool. It looks really interesting. So I think people are gonna vibe with it. I think people are gonna be hyped for it. Dragon Quest Monster looks like a Shin Megami style Pokemon Dragon Quest game, which, yo, I like those style games, so this might be something I pick up in December. And even if we just look at things that like have been announced but we have yet to actually see official release dates, it looks just like a crazy game. Like if you're into shooters, Counter-Strike 2 is coming out. Things like Deca Police, things like Dune, if that comes out for you PC players. I mean, Jesus, holy crap. Looking at the year, it's just almost too much to jam pack in 1 year. No respectable gamer is gonna be able to play this much and try to complete games. Helldivers 2, another game that I'm interested in. I want to see if that lives up to this PlayStation kind of live service hype. If Helldivers 2 comes out and it's a great live service game, which gameplay wise it looks good, the humor looks fun, I'm very interested in that one. I think that's one that me and my brothers could definitely hop into. I mean, damn, this is just a jam. I can't say it more, but like 2023 is a freaking jam-packed year. It's already been crazy and kind of very dramatic with title to title, people being really passionate about their specific title. I know tons of people are saying that their game is a game of the year. You know, Nintendo fans, Tears of the Kingdom is it, Final Fantasy 16 is it, Diablo 4, Street Fighter 6, fuck it, that's a 92 on Metacritic. Like, come on guys, it's been a long time since I've seen this many big budget hyped games drop back to back to back. And I mean, honestly, it's a little overwhelming to try to play them all, but I'm very excited to attempt to. I'm very excited to try to and experience all of them. And the thing about it is 2023 is this hype. Is 2024 going to be like a slower year? Are we going to have time to go back and play some of the games we haven't played? Or are some of them going to kind of overcrowd each other? I don't know. Overall, I'm just really hyped for 2023. I think if you're one of those people who say there's nothing to play in 2023, either sit back and wait for some of these other games to drop out, or you're just not a fan of video games in general. Alright, that's all I'm going to do it for this video. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'll see you guys on the next video.